Coming your way on today's San Francisco 49ers Report, I'm Chase Sr. Going to break down the top 5 Trey Lance trade destinations after the report earlier this week from Ian Rappaport that teams are calling San Francisco about trading for Trey Lance. Here's the skinny on Lance. According to Rap Sheet, Niners have gotten trade calls for the former number 3 overall pick from the 2021 NFL Draft out of North Dakota State. He's only played in 8 career games. 4 starts, basically 3 and change because he got hurt so early against the Seattle Seahawks, has only attempted 102 passes in his NFL career. That's not ideal for a guy who's entering year 3, and he missed most of 22 after he was supposed to be the starter after suffering a season-ending ankle injury. Here are his numbers in those 4 starts. Again, the sample size, minuscule. That's why there's so many question marks around him from this organization, but also other teams inquiring about a potential trade. What's a problem? His completion percentage. I understand that he hasn't completed or thrown that many balls, but still, in that sample size, 55%, well below league average by about 10 percentage points. He's only thrown for 797 yards. He's only chucked 5 touchdowns, 3 picks. He's run for 235 yards, only 1 rushing touchdown. It came against the Green Bay Packers, and his athleticism, it hasn't impressed the Niners like they thought it was going to when he was a prospect in the 2021 class. Today's poll question is this: where will Trey Lance get traded if he does get dealt? And if you don't think that he gets dealt, just say 49ers down below in the comment section. Let's begin with some honorable mentions here. Atlanta Falcons. Why could Trey Lance get traded to the Atlanta Falcons? Are they completely sold on Desmond Ridder? I liked him coming out of Cincinnati. He's not the quarterback prospect that Lance is, though. They've committed to him for this year. But if they traded for Trey Lance, Lance would become their guy. Baltimore Ravens. They could be a Trey Lance trade destination if and only if the Baltimore Ravens lose Lamar Jackson and he doesn't come back to Baltimore, the Charm City, for the 2023 season. As for the Washington Commanders, I actually think this is a pretty solid destination for Trey Lance. They have committed to Sam Howell, but Trey Lance, like Desmond Ridder, is a better quarterback prospect than Sam Howell. Ron Rivera might be feeling the heat. If the Commanders don't win a lot of games this year, he could be out. You brought in Eric Bieniemy to kind of streamline that offense. Do you pair Bieniemy up, who's going to be calling the plays, with Trey Lance? Before we continue to progress on today's show, please make sure you subscribe to us here on the San Francisco 49ers Report. We do it all. Open-minded conversations, news, rumors, analysis, off-season coverage, draft coverage, free agency coverage, in-season coverage. We give you shows every single day. Scroll down below, lock us in, and subscribe to the show. Without further ado, our top 5 Trey Lance trade destinations. Coming in at number 5, it is the Minnesota Vikings. According to Mike Florio, Pro Football Talk this week, he said that during the NFL Scouting Combine, there was a lot of chatter behind Trey Lance maybe getting dealt to Minnesota and maybe Kirk Cousins being sent to San Francisco, given the history that he has with head coach Kyle Shanahan. Shanahan has always been a huge fan of Kirk Cousins. It goes back to their marriage when Shanahan was coaching the Washington Redskins at the time, and there was buzz a couple of years ago that the Niners were trying to bring in Kirk Cousins. The Vikings would create $10 million in open cap space if they traded Kirk after June 1. And to that report from Mike Florio, the 49ers were mentioned in that conversation of a team looking to make a trade, potentially rumored, with Kirk Cousins. Now, it's pretty interesting with Kirk. He's entering the final year of his deal. It's also interesting for Trey Lance. Why is that? So he played his college football, as we know, at North Dakota State, but Trey Lance was a high school phenom growing up in the state of Minnesota. So he grew up in Minnesota. Could it be a homecoming of sorts for him to get dealt to the north, to play for a Vikings team that was really solid last year, winning a bevy of one-score games. And that would allow Minnesota to kind of reset their franchise a little bit, get that young quarterback to groom. And for San Francisco, they could trade for Kirk Cousins. And I'm not the biggest Kirk Cousins fan, but it could make San Francisco the number one team in the NFC and immediate Super Bowl contenders. Here's the trade idea that we put together. The Niners would receive Kirk Cousins and the Vikings receive Trey Lance and 2 third-round picks because you have to absorb that large salary and you're getting the better quarterback here, 99 and 101. Who wins this trade? Would it be the Vikings in the NFC North? Would it be San Francisco in the NFC West? Type MIN for the Vikings or SF for the San Francisco 49ers. I do want to welcome a brand new sponsor here to the docket on the 49ers Report. It is Zbiotics, and it's a company that means a lot to me, especially after some of our crazy live shows and some of our insane watch parties. Let's face it, after y'all hit me with a bunch of super chats, I don't bounce back the best the next day. Sometimes I can have a hangover, but that is until I found Zbiotics. It's a pre-alcohol probiotic, and it's the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. And here's how it works. It's pretty fascinating. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Zbiotics produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. It's designed to work like your liver, but in your gut when you need it the most. Drink Zbiotics before drinking alcohol. Drink responsibly, of course, and get a good night's sleep to feel your best tomorrow. Give it a try for yourself by heading to zbiotics.com/chatsports. And if you use the promo code chatsports, you get 15% off your order. It's also backed with a 100% money-back guarantee. So if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. We'll put that link in the comment section and in the description of this video. Moving forward with our Trey Lance trade destinations. How about the Las Vegas Raiders? This would be juicy for a couple of reasons. Las Vegas Raiders, San Francisco 49ers, a great rivalry in the history of the NFL. It would also put Trey Lance back on the same team as Jimmy Garoppolo. Could Vegas recreate the Jimmy G and Trey Lance quarterback room? Yes, they signed Jimmy Garoppolo to that deal, but it is a deal that is incentive-laden, and basically the Raiders are only committing 2 years of money to Jimmy Garoppolo. They might draft a quarterback in this draft class, depending on who slips to the Las Vegas Raiders. That tells me they might be looking for a young quarterback. At number 3, Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield is going to be their starter. Can he be a reclamation project for a team that has some pretty solid offensive weapons with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin? Here's the Buccaneers quarterback heading into 2023. It's unsure for sure. Baker Mayfield, QB1, and Kyle Trask, quarterback 2. They're giving about $8 million, I believe, to Baker Mayfield. Lance has that potential and that ceiling. Our top 2 teams. Let's get to number 2, Tennessee Titans. This has been the team that has been rumored heavily for Trey Lance to go to. There's that Rand Carthon connection. He is now the general manager for Tennessee and Nashville, former director of pro personnel for San Francisco before landing that job. Titans general manager Rand Carthon, he was a Niners exec for 5 years. He was a part of the front office that drafted Trey Lance. There's been a ton of speculation surrounding Ryan Tannehill's future in Tennessee, and could Malik Willis be traded to San Francisco? Something to keep an eye out for. At number 1, it's been a paper trail here like Tennessee. Houston Texans. DeMeco Ryans, now the head coach for Houston. The offensive coordinator, Bobby Slowick, former pass game coordinator for the Niners, coming up under Kyle Shanahan. Who is going to be the Texans starting quarterback in 2023? Davis Mills, Trey Lance, clearly the better option there. Been a lot of rumors here that Houston might not take a quarterback at number 2. They could also trade down in this draft. They hired DeMeco Ryans, a Texans legend, who made it to an all-pro team, Pro Bowler with Houston. Then, as a coach, he was very good. First starting off as a linebackers coach for the Niners, then he became the defensive coordinator, and offensive coordinator Bobby Slowick was the pass game coordinator for the Niners. So what should the Texans do? Should they draft a quarterback, type D? Should they trade for Lance? Type T. Embrace debate and let us know. Again, as I've said, I don't think it makes a lot of sense to trade Trey Lance given the uncertainty and the question marks around Brock Purdy's elbow injury. But somebody floated that idea out there, whether it was the Niners as an organization, Trey Lance's camp, or maybe another team trying to drum up the interest and maybe affect the offer. That's what it is. Before we hop on out of here, make sure you give me a follow on social media. I've been posting a lot of my videos, a lot of my takes, lifestyle stuff too, football, basketball. I do it all. I'm on Instagram at Chase_Senior. I'm on Twitter at Chase_Senior. Elon Musk may have taken my verified blue check mark away, but it's still the real me. Thanks for watching today's show.